Alien dog rejected at auction is bought by a young human, and what happened next shocked everyone. The air inside the auction house smelled of stale smoke and desperation. Rows of creatures, animals, hybrids, and failed experiments sat behind transparent stasis cages, their bodies illuminated by sterile white light. The auctioneer's metallic voice echoed across the chamber, rattling off numbers and descriptions like one might describe broken machinery. Lot after lot was paraded before the crowd of interplanetary buyers. Sleek war beasts bred for combat, avian mounts with wings longer than a transport shuttle, and even creatures engineered to act as walking power cells. But in one corner, nearly overlooked, sat something small. The creature resembled a dog, but only at first glance. Its fur shimmered with faint iridescence, catching flashes of green and violet under the lights. Its eyes were far too large for its head, liquid pools of luminous amber that seemed to reflect not just light but emotion. Its tail was tucked tight against its body, trembling slightly. When the auctioneer announced it, there was a noticeable lull. Lot 97, hybrid canid. Genetic origin unclear. Intelligence rating low. Combat potential negligible. Estimated value scrap. The crowd chuckled. Some whispered the word reject. The auctioneer droned on. Opening bid 100 credits. No hands went up. 75. Silence. 50. The alien dog whimpered softly, pressing its paw against a glass as if begging. Buyers looked away in disinterest. At the very back of the room, however, a young human shifted uncomfortably in his seat. His name was Cale Renard, a 19-year-old drifter who had stumbled into the auction out of equal parts boredom and curiosity. He wasn't rich, wasn't powerful, and wasn't even supposed to be here. He had slipped past the guards by blending in with the crowd of traders. Cale had grown up on the fringes of the Orion Belt, where abandoned tech and failed biotech experiments were as common as rust. He had seen broken machines discarded, but seeing a living being treated the same way twisted his gut. The auctioneer's voice grated on. 25 credits. Anyone? Or it will be scheduled for disposal. Something in Cale snapped. He raised his hand. I'll take it. A ripple of laughter ran through the crowd. The auctioneer blinked in mild surprise, but quickly recovered. Sold. 25 credits. And just like that, Cale owned the alien dog no one wanted. Part 1. The Reject. Cale carried the creature out of the auction house, inside a dented stasis crate. Once he was clear of the bustling market streets, he found a quiet alley and released it. The alien dog stepped out cautiously, shaking as if expecting another cage. Up close, Cale could see the creature's ribs pressing faintly through its thin coat. Despite the shimmer of its fur, it looked underfed and neglected. Hey, easy, Cale said, crouching low. He extended his hand. I'm not going to hurt you. The dog sniffed him, then pressed its cold nose against his palm. Its tail gave one uncertain wag. Cale smiled. Guess you're stuck with me now. He thought for a moment, then said, I'll call you Luma. The name seemed to fit. The dog's amber eyes glowed faintly, and when she blinked, Cale swore the glow pulsed brighter, almost like a response. Luma followed him back to his cramped quarters aboard his salvage shuttle, the Rustwing. For the first time in years, Cale felt less alone. Part 2. Strange Abilities. Over the following weeks, Cale noticed things about Luma that unsettled him. She learned commands far too quickly, sometimes before he finished giving them. When he thought about throwing a ball, she fetched it before he moved. When Cale felt a surge of fear during a dangerous salvage run, Luma pressed against his leg, calming him instantly. It wasn't just intelligence. It was something deeper. One night, while Cale was repairing the Rustwing's failing navigation systems, sparks flew and a power surge arced dangerously toward him. Luma leapt forward, eyes flaring brilliantly. The surge vanished, absorbed by some invisible force. Cale stumbled back. What the hell was that? Luma whined softly, as if apologizing. Cale crouched and stroked her shimmering fur. You're not just some reject, are you? The truth began to crystallize in his mind. The auctioneer had been wrong, or perhaps had deliberately lied. Luma wasn't worthless. She was extraordinary. But extraordinary was dangerous. Part 3. The Hunters. Word spread faster than Cale expected. A human boy buying a failed biotech creature wouldn't normally matter, but Luma's display of strange abilities hadn't gone unnoticed. Someone at the auction must have reported it. 2 weeks later, Cale's comm crackled with distorted voice. Hand over the asset, boy. That creature is property of Helion Biogenetics. Cale froze. He'd heard of Helion, a megacorporation infamous for experimenting on alien DNA, creating weapons disguised as life forms. If Luma had been one of their projects, then her auction wasn't disposal at all. It was bait, a way to cover their tracks. The voice continued. You have 24 hours. Refuse, and we'll retrieve it ourselves. Kale cut the transmission, his chest tight. He looked at Luma, who tilted her head innocently. They're coming for you, he whispered. And then more fiercely, they're not getting you. Part 4, running. Kale plotted a course to the outer fringe, where corporate authority was weaker. He and Luma fled from one mining station to another, taking odd jobs, always moving. During their travels, Luma revealed more abilities. She could sense approaching ships before scanners detected them. She could manipulate small fields of energy, enough to shield Kale from harm or disrupt hostile drones. But perhaps most remarkable was her bond with him. He began to hear faint impressions in his mind, emotions, images, even words. Safe, trust, home. Luma wasn't just intelligent. She was telepathic. Kale realized with awe and dread that she had chosen him, not because he bought her, but because she wanted to. Part 5, Revelation. On a remote ice moon, Kale encountered a group of rebels hiding from Helian's influence. At first, they mistrusted him, but when they saw Luma, their suspicion turned to recognition. One rebel, a scarred woman named Eris, pulled Kale aside. Do you know what you're carrying? Kale shook his head. She's not a dog. She's the last of the Lumri, an ancient species Helion tried to recreate. They weren't pets. They were guardians, protectors of worlds. Their bond with chosen partners was legendary. Kale's stomach dropped. Guardians? Eris nodded grimly. Helion wiped them out when they couldn't control them. If your Luma exists, it means she survived their experiments. They'll stop at nothing to take her back. Kale looked at Luma, who pressed against his leg. She wasn't just his companion. She was something far greater. Part 6, Capture. Despite his precautions, Helion caught up with them. The Rustwing was ambushed near the Neber's Belt by a heavily armed cruiser. Boarding pods slammed into the hull, spilling armored soldiers inside. Kale fought desperately, blaster in hand, but he was outnumbered. Luma fought too, flaring with radiant energy that blasted soldiers back. But one of them fired a stun net, crackling with electric force. It wrapped around her, suppressing her glow. No! Kale screamed, lunging forward. He was struck across the head, darkness swallowing him. Part 7, The Lab. Kale awoke in restraints inside a sterile chamber. Through the glass wall, he saw Luma strapped to a table, machines probing her. She whimpered, eyes dim. A man in a pristine white coat entered. His features were sharp, his smile cruel. I'm Dr. Vera. You've been harboring stolen property. Boy, do you know what she is? She's not property, Kale spat. Vera chuckled. She is the culmination of decades of research. A perfect fusion of alien genetics and psychic potential. And you're just the accidental key. For reasons we don't understand, she bonded to you. That bond makes her stable. He leaned closer, which means we need you alive. For now. Kale's heart pounded. They weren't going to just take Luma. They were going to use him to control her. Part 8, The Escape. That night, Kale strained against his restraints, mind racing. Luma's eyes met his through the glass. For a moment, he felt her voice inside his head, faint but determined. Trust. Together. Kale closed his eyes and focused on her, reaching back across their bond. He pictured the restraints unlocking, the glass shattering. Freedom. Luma's eyes blazed. The machines around her exploded in sparks. The glass wall cracked, then shattered. Kale's restraints released with a click. He staggered free as alarms blared. Soldiers rushed in, but Luma surged with radiant energy, shielding him. Blaster bolts disintegrated harmlessly against her glow. Together, they fought their way through the corridors. Kale fired with precision, while Luma deflected attacks. Their bond was seamless, as if they were one. At last, they reached a hangar and stole a small shuttle, blasting free the cruiser just as it erupted in chaos behind them. Part 9, The Choice. Safe among the stars again, Kale held Luma close. She rested her head against his chest, eyes half closed but glowing warmly. He realized something profound. His life had changed forever. He wasn't just a drifter anymore. Luma had chosen him, and with that choice came responsibility. They couldn't keep running forever. Helion would never stop hunting them. But maybe, just maybe, they could fight back. Kale remembered Eris's words. Guardians of worlds. He looked at Luma. What do you say? You and me, taking on Helion? Protecting people who can't protect themselves. Luma's tail thumped once hard against the floor. Her eyes glowed brighter. Kale grinned. Yeah, that's what I thought. Epilogue: The Guardian's Return. Months later, whispers spread across the fringe worlds. Stories of a young human and a glowing alien dog who appeared in times of danger, shielding miners from raiders, sabotaging Helion outposts, freeing captives. Some called them fugitives. Others called them heroes. But among the rebels, a new title emerged. They called Luma the first Guardian reborn. And at her side was a human who chose her. Not for power and not for profit, but simply because he couldn't let her be thrown away. Together, they became legend.